Dear friends, I want to share with you urgent message for every Christian in America. If you are a Christian in America today, I beg you hear this not just with your ears but with your spirit. This message is not just another sermon, it is a cry from the battlefield, and it begins with the man named Charlie Kirk. I'm sure you heard that Charlie's assassination took place on September 10th in Utah while he was debating with students and having a friendly arguments or friendly debating with university students. He was brutally murdered on September 10th. But why? Why did people have to kill him just for speaking? Because you know why? Because he spoke truth, not hate, not violence, just truth, raw, biblical, unshaken truth. And in this twisted culture, the truth became threat. He didn't carry a gun, he carried conviction. He didn't come with a sword, he came with scriptures. He died not because he was weak, just because he was braver than most pastors in this nation today. And now, he's gone. So many people are losing hope, so many people are thinking, now what do? We lost Charlie. But here is what I know. When a voice of truth is buried, God uses that grave as a garden. A seed was planted in Charlie's death, and that seed is about to multiply into forest of righteous warriors. Dear friends, Charlie didn't die because truth is unpopular. He died because in speaking truth, he became a threat to darkness. And when someone becomes a threat, darkness tries to snuff them out. But death is not the defeat for the children of God. This is spiritual biology. When a seed falls into ground, it must die to produce harvest. Charlie's death is that seed today. Spiritually, you understand that his martyrdom awakens others, those who were comfortable, those who were fearful, those who thought faith meant safety. It calls them out of the tomb of passivity. It lights something inside of believers, that courage, that refusal to bow down to the devil. For you listening, your discomfort now, your grief, your anger, that becomes a powerful fuel. A fuel for courage, a fuel for truth, a fuel for movement. Because if we don't rise now, we give his death no meaningless. But if we do, if we speak, if we live, if we refuse to fear, then his voice echoes, his life multiplies, and his death becomes a launching pad. And understand that this nation is in crisis, not just politically, but spiritually. America has always stood as more than a geography. It was meant to stand for an idea of freedom, truth, faith. But now, that idea is being contested on every front, not only by laws, not only by politics, but by confusion, by relativism, by the belief that truth is whatever feels good. There is a crisis in identity. Young people ask, who am I? Sorry, I'm getting emotional, just sharing. I have such a burden for this nation. And when young people ask, who am I? Society answers with slogans, media with memes, schools with theories. Many Christians even buffeted by all this and unsure whether to confirm or to stand. Religion has become a habit, not a calling. Spiritually, that means people are open to despair, because despair is the echo of identity lost. When you don't know who you are, you're a child of God, a heir of promise, spirit-led. You will be just governed by your feelings, your fears, and your unmet expectations. So this is not just arguing about policies or protest signs. This is about foundation of everything, who we are. And when that foundation shakes, everything else cracks. And understand the devil is not charging in, he is creeping in. Often we picture spiritual attack as a loud and a violent, storms, persecutions, headlines. But more dangerous are the quiet betrayals, agreements you don't realize you made, tolerance you slipped into, the lies you accepted into your mind because they were not too loud. Devil creeps in as a whisper. No one will believe you. Creeps in as a compromise. Oh, just adjust a little, it'll be easier. He creeps in as a distraction. Focus on service, not on controversy. Those kind of adjustments. These cracks, which are silence, compromise, discomfort, are now big enough for darkness to slip through. Because when the church stops speaking truth, when believers stop protesting spiritually, when speech is sanitized, the spiritual voice is muted. The weapon of silence is powerful, dear friends. To refuse to speak, to stay quiet when the truth is needed, that gives an enemy a bigger space to act. And more importantly, I want to challenge you that, our colleges are breeding a confusion and despair. College used to be where people learn to think, to test ideas, to discover purpose. Now, for many, it's where identity is stolen, where beliefs are mocked, where truth is relativized, where hopelessness becomes normal. Even among Christians, feeling like you don't belong, feeling ashamed of faith, feeling like campus life requires you to hide what you believe. That kills the spirit. Students feel purposeless because they are being taught that purpose is self-defined, that morality is subjective, that truth is fungible, and they believe in it because few have shown them another way. The church must show another way, dear friends. Be that another way. Speak identity before curriculum. Speak courage before conformity. Because for many, college is not just an education, it is a battlefield for their soul. And also, our families are under siege. Family is supposed to be the first church, the first place where the faith is lived, taught, passed on. But today, it is being undermined in many ways. Screens replacing conversations, false ideologies shaping children's view of gender before parents have a chance. Parents are so busy, are broken, that spiritual leadership is weak or invisible in families. Values exchanged for acceptance, silence adapted for peace, and many homes never fought for truth. They settle for convenience. The enemy knows this. If he can corrupt the family, he breaks the next generation. If he can weaken what was meant to protect and multiply faith, the home, then the ripple effect spread to entire communities. It's in the hidden moments, dear friends, the bedtime, the family dinner, the phone screens, the movies children watch. Those are the places where faith either takes root or is uprooted. Church has been too silent for too long, dear friends. We've done a lot of shiny things, worship concerts, programs, Bible studies, but the glow lights and speakers do not replace the boldness. Social media can echo our voices, but what echoes in eternity is truth that's spoken in power, like Charlie did. Christianity becomes a spectator when we only come to church and never leave with our voice. When the name Christian is safe, but the truth is unpopular truth is avoided. Sermons about love are needed, but so are the sermons of courage. Sermons about challenge, sermons that demand risk, because risk is the birthplace of revival. If the church leaders fear backlash more than the fear dishonoring God, then the church is no longer leading, it's languishing. Understand the sign of Charlie's death is not just a political, it's a prophetic. Yes, there are political fights. Yes, there are policy issues. But what is happening goes deeper than ballot boxes. It is prophetic shaking. It's God giving us time, God giving us space, God sounding alarm bells. God is really revealing what trust we really have. Not in politics, not in social media, not in institutions, but Him alone. Dear friends, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying now. American culture is not just shifting, it's being redefined. And the church must respond not with clever politics, but with prophetic presence, words that pierce, lives that testify, faith that refuses to be silenced. Charlie's death should be a prophetic warning and prophetic opportunity for the Christian communities in America. Charlie's voice was silenced, but ours must not be. They thought that removing the messenger would remove the message. They thought closing Charlie's mouth would quiet the truth, but they underestimated what truth does. Its power, its ripple effect. And you and I, we have choices. Maybe you feel small, maybe you feel unseen, maybe you feel like afraid. Maybe every time you refuse to speak, every time you let fear win. You become part of what killed Charlie, the silence. And every time you do stand up, every time you do speak, every time you refuse to bow, your voice becomes a continuation of his, a continuation, that seed planted by his death. And I don't know if you recognize this or not, but this generation need your voice. Not a style voice, not a polished voice. They need authentic, the real voice. They need a faith that bleeds. They need believers who don't just quote verses, but live them in messy places. They need parents who teach truth, teachers who refuse to lie for comfort, students who don't compromise when culture swaps values, community leaders who speak mercy and justice, churchgoers who refuse to be silent. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14 tells us, you are the light of the world. A light does not hide behind shades. Light shows, light warns, light reveals. So let your voice become that light. Dear friends, I want to encourage you with one thing before I come to conclusion. Speak with love, stand with power. This is not about hate. This is about love, loving God, loving truth, loving future. Speak boldly, and of course, but also speak in love, because love cuts deeper than anger. Stand righteously, not for applause, because righteousness honors God. Raise your children in truth, not with fear, but with purpose. Play like a revival depends on it, because maybe it does. Walk like heaven is watching you, because heaven is truly watching over you. Because when one voice dies, 1,000 more must rise to fulfill the call of God. And Charlie didn't die so that we could go back in quiet places. He died so that truth would not be compromised. He died so the courage could be contagious. Let this movement be our turning point. America, wake up. You got to wake up from the slumber. You're not supposed to be a regular Christian going to church, lift your hands up and come home and act like everything is okay. No, it is falling. America is falling. Church, you got to wake up. Young people, you got to wake up. And this is our revolution, not of politics, but of the Spirit of God. Let's stand and let's speak. Let's continue to pursue what God has called us. And let's raise in the Spirit of God and defend the truth and defend what God has called us to do. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.